So today's podcast or tonight's podcast is going to be touching 5 subjects. First subject we're going to be talking about is the big news that just dropped today. Today is February 16th, 2021, and the new 992 GT3 just dropped. It had its first public reveal, and oh my fucking god, that thing looks sexy, right? So just to cover a couple things real quick, some hot notes, I guess, that we found out about the car. Double wishbone suspension was the biggest thing. Individual throttle bodies, it's using the Roadster 4.0 from the previous gen. A lot more aero than any other previous generation GT3, while still maintaining that GT3 look of sporty but subtle. It's got the Cup 2Rs. And with those Cup 2Rs, it was able to land a 659 at the Nürburgring. So for all you AMG fans out there that were all hyped up about that Black Series, it's not looking too good when the GT3 RS drops. So, yeah, what do you guys think about that car? Omar, I'll start with you.
Personally, I think it's stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think the 992 generation obviously is more evolutionary rather than revolutionary, I think, as many would say, and I think that tends to be a tradition with, each 911 generation. However, I think, Porsche is really coming up on the edge of perfection with the GT3 platform, and seeing this 992 GT3, the Nürburgring times that it's putting down, the, new technology with the increased aerodynamic performance that it has, the upgrades to the engine itself, and then you look at the new suspension setup. I mean, this car really is, all it's doing is perfecting upon what the 991.2 left on. And I think as a result of that, people are going to love the car. It's still going to feel like a familiar 911. It's still going to feel right at home for all those, diehard Porsche fanatics and enthusiasts. But once again, they're just continuing to raise the bar in terms of the technical performance and driver engagement. They really did everything that any car enthusiast would want. Naturally aspirated engine, still retaining a manual transmission or an optional PDK. Either way, you can't go wrong. 9,000 RPM redline and track performance and driver engagement, not to mention the car looks stunning.
Yeah, exactly. After seeing the, I saw a test mule on the road probably maybe 2 months ago, and I saw the rear bumper.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
I saw that rear bumper. Everything else looked great on the car except for the rear bumper. I was like, what the fuck is Porsche thinking? Like, it looked just as bad as the kidney grills on the new G8X. Like that, it stood out like that to me. And then Chris Harris comes on after he does that interview with I forget his name. The basically the guy who
Andy something.
The guy who has developed the GT car since the 996, and
right.
Yeah, when they unveil it, he shows the back end, and it clearly doesn't have that ugly ass bumper. And then you see it in the release; it looks just fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I think the most impressive thing to me, and I don't think enough people are talking about it, is not anything to do with the lap time, not anything to do with double wishbone suspension or ITBs. If you have any sort of track background, you realize that aero is a massive advantage, and the fact that this car makes what they say, like double the downforce of the previous generation.
I think it's more, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I'll have to double check, but I think it's more than twice the downforce.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's something crazy, a massive increase, and the fact that it still looks like a GT3. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, that is an aggressive looking sports car, but it's not an RS. The RS is looks like something straight off, it is a race car. It's legit a race car.
Yeah.
And the fact that the GT3 can make that much downforce and still look as good and sleek and just very, how would you say it? I guess not like a race car, because I can't think of the word.
I
it's just
think
impressive.
one of the things that something that a lot of enthusiasts appreciate about the GT3 is that the body lines and just the overall flow of the design of the GT3 tends to be a little more smooth. It tends to just be a little more cohesive rather than something like the RS, where the moment you look at that car, the moment you set your eyes on it, you know instantly, okay, that's race car, that's straight up track performance. And some people could, make the argument that the RS does not look as good as just a standard GT3, perhaps because some of those track modifications or add-ons that they've, put on from the factory are just so aggressive and so geared towards just maximum performance.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement and that point of view. But let's start transitioning to well, actually, no. Let's talk a little more about the GT3 because we only talked about the aero. There's so much more going on with this car. So anybody with some sort of motorsport background or any sort of suspension IQ knows that the double wishbone suspension is the tech that everyone wants in the car. You pull up to any paddock on whether you're at an IMSA race, IndyCar, or whatever the hell it may be. Not necessarily IndyCar, but IMSA for sure. Any GT3 car, any GT car at all, and you'll see double wishbone suspension on every car. That's just because it's regarded as being the best. And this car that's not a race car now has double wishbone suspension, which is fucking absurd. But it's so dope to see that Porsche, they just do not, I think Augie said it best, they do not care that you want comfort in your GT car. They're going to stick to the formula that has made the GT car. For example, other brands that we see, specifically BMW with the M cars, they go soft. They've been going softer and softer and softer, and just giving us more power and calling it a day. And there's more that goes on to M cars than just giving us power and making us softer for sure. But Porsche has literally stuck to the same formula since the beginning, and it's great to see that they're not switching that up at all. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Adding on to what you were saying real quick, I'm just going to chime in here. I think now more than ever, the relevance of a car like the GT3 is so appreciated because if you look at a base 992, a Carrera S, even the turbo models, yes, they're lightning quick, but a lot of people have sort of just come to the conclusion, or the general sentiment around those cars is that the 911 has gone more so from a purebred sports car to more of a grand touring car that focuses on comfort, cruising, luxury, and technology, right? Especially with the 992 generation. You look at the infotainment system. I know, Gabe, you recently got a brand new Cayenne loaner car, and you were looking at the overwhelming, scatter of buttons across the steering wheel, the infotainment, and the center console as well. And I think for a lot of the more diehard purists and the guys that really care just simply about performance and driver feedback and engagement, they're going to be appreciating a car like a GT3 and exactly what you said, where, there is no compromises to the performance and to how that car is going to, perform around a racetrack or even around just your local back road or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. It's just nice. That's just so nice. It's refreshing. I remember I was pissed off when I saw the Kith BMW, and I remember just walking to the GT3 and being like, Jesus Christ, man, like this brand will never let me down like this fucking other one will. So that's always really, that's always really nice to see. A couple other things to talk about. ITBs, we already know ITBs sound fucking glorious. It takes the Roadster motor to 4.0. Have you guys ever been in a Roadster or driven near one, heard it at all, anything like that?
I have not. No.
Okay.
And I am watching the video that was uploaded though by the ring.
Yeah.
Right now, this guy is flying, dude.
Yeah. The Porsche always has some of the best drivers in the world. Their factory drivers are absolutely incredibly insane behind a wheel. So no doubt they were going to set some fast lap times for sure. They're using Cup 2Rs. That's a new tire. It's been out for a little bit now, but it's just really hard to get your hands on. Also for the price, I think there's just so much more better options than the Cup 2R. I don't want to take this and turn this into a tire comparison video, but